brownies are like concrete, but not in the way you think.
To explain, let's start at the beginning.
What time is it?
It's 3:04.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Bethany.
What you gotta do?
Concrete pour at 4 a.m.
Yup, that's me. Sleepy, but excited for concrete pour day.
Alex's smile got bigger as we got closer, and the chocolate milk helped too. Concrete pours can start very early in the day for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's weather-related, and sometimes it's scheduling to make sure there's a big enough time window to get the job done. On the left, you see a finished slab-on-grade pour from a couple of weeks before.
On the right, you see the area ready to be poured on our visit.
Before we get too far, it should be noted that the preferred term is placing concrete, because pouring it is just one part. Placing concrete better describes all the steps, work, and skill that goes into the process.
So, let's get a look at what all goes into placing concrete.
Before the day of the pour, lots of prep work is taking place. You've seen some of that in our previous episodes on dirt work and piers. Workers have also put forms in place, put down a vapor barrier, that's the blue material you see, laid rebar reinforcements, placed stub-ups, and protected building elements from being damaged. All of this is in place before the day of the pour, and it's checked by the site superintendents, engineers, and each of the affected trades, including plumbing, electricians, and HVAC. Because the entire slab isn't poured at one time, the border where it meets a different slab section are prepped with these bars to tie the slabs together. The slab is tied to the footings as well. When they are poured, they were left with rebar sticking up. These were bent down and tied to the rebar grid built for the slab.
On pour day, one of the first things to happen is the arrival and setup of a pump truck.
The truck is what will transfer the concrete from the delivery trucks to the slab. It has a long-reaching boom and is transferring a lot of weight, so it has outriggers for a stable base.
We will get a closer look at how it works in a bit.
You're going to see a lot of people. Some are the concrete crew placing the concrete. Some are from the different trades observing to make sure their areas are protected. Some are Manhattan personnel coordinating communication, documenting the process, and making sure things go as planned. One of those steps is checking the concrete recipe to make sure what is delivered is matched to what the engineer specified.
So like this just tells you the aggregate, the fine aggregate, the water, and actually cement that's in this concrete mix design. So like this specific mix design is rated at 4,500 PSI.
And the quality control doesn't stop there. The concrete is tested on site and samples are taken to cure and test in the lab after curing.
So I'll get the truck number. They'll do the slum test that you guys saw. They'll do like an air test. And they'll stick a thermometer in the concrete and get its temperature and then get an ambient temperature in the screen.
The approved concrete goes from the delivery truck to the pump truck.
Two large pistons push the concrete through the boom. Here comes the concrete.
They started the pour on the far corner from the pump truck and will work their way back closer to the truck. The end of the hose could be manually aimed for greater control, but an operator controls the boom with this remote, moving it to wherever he wants the concrete to flow. If the concrete was too dry, it wouldn't flow well into all the spaces it needs to go. And if the concrete is too wet, it won't cure as strong. That's one of the reasons things like the slump test are so important. Areas on the finished concrete are protected from splatter with scrap pieces of vapor barrier. Workers start leveling out the concrete, making sure no void areas are being left, and getting it spread out evenly. The coordination of the concrete crew was impressive. They make it look easy, but there's a lot of skill involved. You don't want high spots or low spots, so we wondered how they got the right amount of concrete everywhere.
One of the things they do is use this laser. It shoots a beam of light to mark the correct depth.
A stake is held to see the laser, and they use that mark to smooth the patch at the right level.
That patch becomes a reference point for that area.
If there's too much concrete in that area, it gets moved away. And if there's too little, some more can be added. That fine-tuning takes time and labor, so the better skill someone has at getting close to the right level from the start, the faster it all goes.
The finishing of the concrete is done in several steps.
The initial pass was done with a manual screed board, which is a large straight edge that flattens and smooths the concrete. It also pushes the aggregate down and creates a smooth top. This machine is also a screed, but it vibrates. Some jobs use larger screed machines, but this pour had lots of tight, intricate areas that called for more maneuverability. For finer finishing, a bull float is used. It smooths out little bumps and ripples that the vibrating screen may have left behind. Floating is the term for smoothing and evening concrete. After the concrete hardens sufficiently to support the weight, but still has some workability, these machines will go over the surface. It floats, compacts, and buffs the concrete.
These are rotary trowels.
The bigger equipment doesn't fit in the smaller, more intricate areas, and they have to be finished by hand. When finished, it will look like this slab that was poured a few weeks earlier.
You know what this video needs? A demo.
No, we aren't going to pour concrete for this video.
Aww. We could do it with brownies.
I like the way you think. Deal.
Yay!
The bottom of our pan represents the bedrock. The brownies represent the soil, including the select structural fill added to the site. These cylinder-shaped cookies represent the piers that were constructed to support the building. Our footings will be these chocolate bars. A layer of cookie butter will be the vapor barrier. We bake these peanut butter cookies to look like rods of rebar. And finally, this chocolate ganache icing represents the concrete. Now our goal is to place this icing evenly and smoothly over our entire pour area.
Let's see how we do.
Note, this is not an approved concrete finishing technique.
Looks like we didn't order enough concrete.
Let's compare how we did with the pros.
Pretty sure the pros win this round. Except in the taste category.
We hope you enjoyed this look at placing concrete. Stay tuned for our next episode as we learn about what's next and figure out how to turn that into a dessert demo.
See you on the next part of this adventure.